Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and welcome finally back to F1 Championship Edition. Yes, today we return for the Spanish Grand Prix. Of course, it has been over 3 months, I think, since we last played this game. Of course, we got very busy with F1 25, but I figured with obviously Season 2 of the Aston Martin driver career steadily coming to an end, that we would finally take this opportunity to jump back into what many of you still argue is the greatest F1 game of all time. Now, yeah, like I said, first of all, I apologise it's been such a wait for this series to return. Number one, I had to go dig out my wheel out of the garage because I put it in there somewhere and it took me quite a while to find. And number two, of course, with the move, with everything else, trying to get this all set back up is a little bit weird. Now, point number one, I'm going to quickly make before we get back into this. This first episode is going to be a little bit of a trial recording. I don't know how well the microphone's going to work and everything like that, because the way I've had to set this up now is my microphone is actually behind my wheel. I'm hoping this wheel is going to be too loud. I've done a couple of checks. It should be okay. And number two, I've been hiding something from you guys. I never mentioned it before we went on our little hiatus, but I actually sent a contract over to Toyota. So hopefully, not this weekend, but next weekend, we should find out whether Renault Formula 1 team are interested in signing me. Apparently, we've kind of met all the thresholds they were expecting, so if we could obviously move there, that would be a great opportunity for us in the bigger picture. Taking a look, though, at our World Championship, I honestly don't remember what's happened so far this year. Michael Schumacher, 10 points clear of Giancarlo Fisichella, who is 1 point ahead of Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa. We are currently on 10 points so far this season, so just ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya, and just behind the two Hondas of Button and Barrichello there. Ralf Schumacher has scored 1 point in the other car. I believe in the constructors we are probably 5th, I would guess. Yeah, there we go, 5th place there. Comfortably ahead of BMW Sauber, but quite the way behind Honda, McLaren, Renault, and of course Ferrari right on top then. But yeah, obviously this season, I'm hoping we can try and fight for the championship. I think honestly, on the hard difficulty, this Toyota isn't quite capable of doing that. Barcelona as well is one of the most difficult circuits inside this game. So honestly, this weekend, I just want to get to the checkered flag as well. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. I really hope you guys are going to love us jumping back in with this game as well. And yeah, let's return then here to the Spanish Grand Prix. Well, here we are then, back on F1 CE. The graphics are about as good as I remember. This game now almost 20 years old, which is rather hilarious. Like I said, I have just done a couple of checks to make sure my wheel and everything is working as it should be. But yeah, we're obviously going to do some practice laps, and then obviously we'll jump into qualifying. Got my ABS, got my traction control all set up as it should, and it's taken me 2 quarters to find an auto spin curb. I'm also slightly worried. This wheel does shake the disc around quite a lot, so number one, I apologise, you guys are probably shaking around a little bit. Number two, I've got a glass of water that is already looking a little bit precarious. But I actually ran into the most hilarious problem whilst I was trying to practice to make sure everything was all working correctly. I forgot just how bad the old Logitech pedals are, and I accidentally kept using the clutch rather than the brake, and wondering why the car wouldn't slow down into the corners. Now, I don't know if you can bind that inside this game, but I certainly haven't found a way how to, and that's going to be a wall. I'm going to do some more laps, and I think we'll see you guys in qualifying.
We're at the wonderful Circuit de Catalunya, just outside Barcelona, for Saturday qualifying. The opening knockout session is about to begin.
Well, I can't quite remember how much the AI's pace ramps up between practice and qualifying, but I think looking at the time so far, it's going to be a good job if both Toyotas can even make it comfortably through into Q2. Ralf Schumacher and myself both struggling quite a bit here. I've gone for quite an aggressive high downforce setup, of course. I mean, we are an absolute boat in a straight line, but hopefully around most of the twisty bits on this lap, we're going to have a little bit more confidence. I think we want to be aiming to be down in the low kind of 116s. I think if I nailed it, a 115 is doable. But some of the AI were already running 14s in practice. Come on then, first lap coming up in Q1, right there on the softer compounded tyre. We're going to really try and fly along. I mean, you look at that, we get them into 7th gear and there's just no revs whatsoever as one of the Renaults making their way out of the pit lane. Will they dive out of the way? Nope, they're going to sit on the racing line. I'm really just trying to take things nice and easy as we get back into this game. Not trying to attack too much curb, not trying to get too close to the AI. But when they do that, it's a bit frustrating. Campser, if you absolutely nail it, should be flat out in this car at the moment. But yeah, apart from that little skirmish with one of the Renaults down at the first few corners, so far this lap hasn't actually felt too bad there, as Montero 17.6, we will hopefully go quicker than that. Yeah, like I said, we were down in the high 16s in practice, and hopefully the car's going to get even quicker there, as all something's happened at the final turn. We were on a 17.0, but I believe that was a Ferrari and a Toro Rosso having a bit of a skirmish. As immediately Villeneuve puts a second on me. Villeneuve then immediately dipping into the 15s, as James Allen there giving us all the updates about what's going on. With 3/4 of a second up in the first sector. I'll be pretty happy if we can find a bit more time around the rest of the lap, as why does it seem like every front runner is having a tea party? There is all one of the Renaults dive bombs me. Come on lads, what you doing? Move out of the way. Why are we getting screwed over by both Renault cars in this session? Why do they suddenly hate me? Honestly, I think it's a bit of a miracle that we were only 2/10 down by the end of Sector 2, but these final couple of corners should both be flat out on this high downforce setup. There we go. Nice and tidy on the run back to the line. 16.3. We go up to P10. That's not bad going. Well, there we are then. We end up making it through in P15 by the end of Q1 there. Only 4/10 ahead of the Antonio Liuzzi. But yeah, obviously, we made it into Q2. That's the most important bit. I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to see Q3. What's annoying now is that time by Christian Klein is probably attainable in this car round here. Ralf Schumacher, I believe he's down in P15. Only quicker than myself because I haven't done a run yet. So yeah, I just don't think that Toyota works very well around this circuit. Although to be fair, Ralf hasn't always been the greatest benchmark inside this game. Let's just see how close to clean we can get. We have got a couple of opportunities to do this, as we're not even reaching our 180 miles an hour on the run down towards turn 1. That's how much downforce we're leaning on. But it is making the car very, very quick through the corners. Look at that, turn 2, turn 3, completely flat out. As someone has improved, that's brought Heidfeld down right onto the cusp on a 15.9. I honestly believe those Renaults have come out onto the circuit like a heat-seeking missile for me. We've got another one now, right up my trumpet as we try and get on with our Q2 run. So far, though, this lap has felt pretty tidy. So I still don't know what line to take through there. That bump through the middle of that hairpin is absolutely hilarious. Come on, show me a 115. That's what we want. So that we are still improving here. So try and get the power down. 16.1. Only a 1/10 and a half out. But we've got enough fuel for another one. Oh, no. Messed it up. Messed it up. Yeah, there you go. That might be our qualifying session over. Keep it out of the wall. Yeah, definitely just completely got the line wrong into Campser. So I think we're going to end up P12 at very best. But honestly, that's better than I thought it would go. Well, there we go then. A Herculean effort by our teammate Ralf Schumacher ends up meaning that he makes it into Q3 and we don't there. But a 1/10 and a half out from making it into the top 10. I don't think we can be too devastated with that. And of course, far more importantly than anything else, we've still out-qualified Jacques Villeneuve. Let's get into it though, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix.
You join us live at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. This is the Spanish Grand Prix. During the winter, the teams spend a large amount of their time at this track preparing and testing for the season ahead, and as a result, all the drivers are extremely familiar with the circuit layout. It's a fairly technical circuit, and there aren't many overtaking opportunities around the twisting central sections. For Fernando Alonso, this is his home Grand Prix, and there is huge support from the home fans that have come just to cheer on their hero. Pretty much perfect weather conditions for racing here today, so we should see some very competitive lap times during this race. Michael Schumacher will start from pole, while Juan Pablo Montoya starts alongside him in second. They're followed by Kimi Raikkonen in third, Massa fourth. Fifth is Fernando Alonso. Sixth is Rubens Barrichello. Button is seventh. David Coulthard follows in eighth.
Well, a brilliant effort by David Coulthard there to end up P8 by the end of qualifying. Here we go. Let's listen in.
Some of them might have technical problems later in the race. So try keeping things tidy and on the track, and you should be able to get into the points.
There we go. Team think a points finish should be doable then this afternoon here in Barcelona. I'm not so optimistic. Like I said, this is a track where the AI are all very, very competitive, as I've accidentally changed my camera angle. Don't want to do that. Ready for the start, but make sure I've got my ABS and my traction control sat back up where they should be. I've made that mistake many times before inside this game. Let's do this thing though, as we wait for the cars to line up at the back of the field. We've got good tyre temperature, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya.
Don't go anywhere. Turn up the volume and enjoy. Here we go.
Responding very well to lights. We'll try and claim a few cars then down the outside on the run in towards turn 1 immediately. Talked about how good a net qualifying effort David Coulthard had, but we've jumped him.
As they hurdle towards turn 1. Michael Schumacher leads out of turn 1. He's followed by Montoya. Next is Raikkonen.
Well, I'm sure Coulthard there probably won't be a fan of my defensive driving through turn 2 there. Just got a lot more understeer than I was ever expecting in towards that corner. It's all Fisichella! Fisichella's ran off and we're up into the points temporarily. Banging wheels with DT. Come on, get the car slowed down. Get it nice and tidy. It's all clean. Sorry, no, it's Barrichello even. Has ran off the circuit as well then. So a lot of high profile names making mistakes at the start of the Grand Prix. And well, we've ended up gaining 6 spots then off of the start here. So cannot complain about that one. It's just taking it a bit easier than we did in qualifying up through Campsa Corner. Looks like Barrichello has hung on in 8th spot then. So of course, yeah, one of my big championship rivals early on this season, but I believe it's Schumacher that has held the lead at the start of this one. 20 laps ahead of us here today. The race lengths, of course, in this series are a little bit peculiar as to what we get elsewhere. I think we run 30% races inside F1 CE, if I remember correctly. But take a look at that then. Oh, Barrichello only 2/10 back, so I'm sure he'll try and get a run on me in towards that first turn. He's looking for it. We're just going to make this Toyota as wide as we can.
The field looks like this. Michael Schumacher leads. Montoya is second. Massa is third. Fourth is Alonso. He's up from 5th. Kimi Raikkonen 5th. Jenson Button in 6th. You're 7th. And Barrichello is in 8th.
Oh yeah, we certainly cannot complain about that start, as Montoya there really trying to hang Michael Schumacher at the front of the order. If I remember correctly, JPM's been a little bit unlucky so far this season in his McLaren. But maybe this will be where his championship hunt starts to come alive. Well, really looks like Barrichello and Fisichella are struggling then early on, as Coulthard now has made a move on the BAR. Sorry, it's just Honda, isn't it? You guys kept telling me off for calling it BAR Honda. Yeah, Barrichello really, really struggling then, and Fisichella has dropped towards the rear of the field, so he's now stuck battling with the back markers. So a big, big error from Giancarlo is going to make his day a very, very long one, especially, obviously, with his teammate trying to fight up for the podium places. Of course, yeah, Giancarlo's still ahead of Alonso early on this season, but I'll be impressed if he's still ahead of him by the end of this weekend. You can already see, though, top guys have absolutely ran away from us. But if by some miracle we can hang on for P7, I would certainly not complain. But just trying to avoid errors, that's the big one.
4th is Alonso. Button is 5th.
Oh, there goes Coulthard. Nothing we can really do that time round.
And in 8th is Coulthard.
You can only make the car so wide through those first couple of turns, unless we go right the way around him or through turn 3. They're definitely not finding the grip out there and don't really want to risk it too much. Oh, I thought about having a look down the inside, but Coulthard now might just run away. Oh, Ralf Schumacher, wasn't expecting that. As our teammate there tried to have a bit of a look down the inside, just did not spot him. Definitely going to have to move the mic slightly, as I can't see my left-hand side mirror at the moment. I'm having to kind of look up and over at it whenever I get an opportunity to, but if we have to play the strategy game with Ralf and kind of let him through and hold everybody else up, I will. But we are fueled to go quite long in this race, so I'm hoping that maybe we can get a bit of an overcut. Not optimistic, so you can already see how quickly Coulthard's pulled away, but a boy can dream. But there we go then. Juan Pablo Montoya has just peeled into the pit lane then, so that might explain why he was so quick in qualifying and in the early laps there, running very, very low fuel relative to a lot of other drivers, but well, Barrichello now has just made the move on our teammate Ralf Schumacher, so I think, has Heidfeld dived it in as well then? I don't think he has. But yeah, Barrichello and Fisichella now starting to come alive again in this race, and they are going to be very difficult to defend. We've got a few more drivers into the pit lane. Barrichello, oh, and Ralf Schumacher! Oh, just like keeping out the wall. That was a good job there. Oh, as we've been overtaken by so many cars in the process, because of course we were holding up so many cars. Lucky to not get wiped out in that moment. But first real error of the day then, and it has punished us just as the tyres begin to fall off. So yeah, we're definitely going to have to dive into the pits quite soon. Problem is, I can't remember what my pit lane button is. Is it that one? Yes. That was a good guess. Hopefully we'll be able to dive in at the end of this lap, but I'm not convinced I want to. Oh, there we go. So team are happy for us to dive into the pit lane then. So now we've got to remember how on earth all the pit stops work. Right, are we going to see everybody into the pit lane then? Yes, we do. As can we get down the inside of Rosberg? We'll be able to wheel with him on pit lane entry there. Oh, that was a little bit aggressive, I think, between the pair of us. I might have instigated it, but I'm not going to complain. Just come on, we need a good stop. Like that, and then like that, and then one of those buttons never seems to register properly. There we go. Like that, and like that. There, 8.6! I'm not going to complain. We've jumped Rosberg then in the pit lane. So next up then is Christian Klein. We can see just ahead of us, but with a few more cars still yet to pit, we're not in a bad spot in this race. Points are definitely now off the table.
Green on the indicator. Whilst they're blue, you'll have less traction.
Took a big risk there, even looking at that curb with cold tyres. But yeah, let's just hope we can try and stay in this spot then. Keep Rosberg at bay, and hope again that I don't lose to Jacques Villeneuve. There we go. That is, I believe, Takuma Sato. And who is this coming out of the pit lane then? It's not Ralf Schumacher, of course. It is, I don't know who that is. Really trying to test my knowledge of names again. Oh, it's Villeneuve! Oh, we've got to get the foot down. We cannot lose to Villeneuve. I refuse. He's got cold tyres, luckily, so we still have a bit of an advantage. But of course, he will also be on quite low fuel and fresher rubber right to the checkered flag. No. Wall.
Don't go crazy. Wait till they're green and you have optimum traction.
That's annoying. I just tried to catch it, and I figured, obviously, if we kept the throttle in, we'd be able to try and steer it away from the wall. That was definitely the wrong choice, though. First race back on F1 CE. I mean, did any of you expect it to go any differently? And annoyingly, we are out of it. We were doing pretty well up to that point. That is a great shame.
An amazing day at an amazing location with an amazing crowd. This has to be one of the best attended races in the whole F1 calendar. The Spanish fans love Fernando Alonso and love their F1. It's been a pleasure to be here this weekend, and I have to say a big thank you for all that our passionate Spanish hosts have had to offer. I'll leave you with the thought that in 2 weeks' time, we arrive at the most glamorous location of them all, Monaco. I can't wait. I hope you'll join us there. Goodbye from Barcelona. We'll see you soon.
Well, there we are then. A disappointing end to the day for David Coulthard, who ended up going a lap down, so not too sure what happened to him. And Jacques Villeneuve as well. The driver we were pushing to keep up with, something must have happened. Because he ended up 2 laps down come the checkered flag. But Ferrari bag yet another one too. It means Michael Schumacher's lead now 13 points at the top of the table. As both Felipe Massa and Alonso jumped Giancarlo Fisichella. Raikkonen still in P5. We drop down to 9th place overall now behind Juan Pablo Montoya. But still ahead of Heidfeld and Rosberg there. So we are still best of the rest, if you will, this season. Constructors-wise, Ferrari 21 now clear of Renault, who've got a further 18-point gap over McLaren Mercedes. Honda now 20 points ahead of Toyota in the Japanese battle, as well as Toro Rosso jumped Midland on account back there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon ready for the Monaco Grand Prix.